Hey guys, this is MapleBorder78, and today I'm going to show you guys how I run lithium batteries in our Razor scooter products. So typically Razor scooters run on 12-volt sealed lead acid batteries. They'll have 2 in series for their 24-volt systems and then 3 12-volt batteries in series to do their 36-volt systems. Generally, I buy their products used. I'll buy them on Craigslist used. A lot of times people say the batteries are dead in them, so I end up having lithium batteries on hand because I use lithium polymer batteries in all of my RC cars, and so I can transfer those over to use in our Razor scooters. With lithium batteries, I've found that the products have a little more pep. They'll have a little more higher top speed, acceleration due to the bump up in the voltage, also less voltage drop with lithium batteries under load compared to the sealed lead acid batteries. And depending on the capacity you get on them, they can also have a much longer run life per charge. Got a new box in from Hobby King today. I wanted to get some new lithium batteries, so we're gonna open this up. So these batteries that I ordered are from Turnigy. They're from Hobby King, $47 each. They're a 5 amp hour or 5,000 milliamp hour 5S battery. So nominally, these are rated at about 18.5 volts, but when they're fully charged, each cell is going to be 4.2 volts. So fully charged, it's gonna have about 21 volts. I run 2 of these in series, and so it's gonna be a total of 42 volts. Now I run these on the 36 volt Razor systems. The 42 volts is fine. I have not had a problem with overheating or burning out the speed controller or motor with a 42 volt battery system. So I have had no problems running this on our Razor products. So of course I run these in series. So this one is a 5S, this is a 5S. I'm going to wire these with my series connector together to make the 42 volts that will power the 36 volt system. So generally I run 10S or 10 cells with a 36 volt Razor scooters, such as the Razor 500 Quad, the MX series, the MX 500, MX 650 have 36 volt systems. Things like the smaller Quad and also other Razor scooters that are their 24 volt systems where they have 2 12 volt sealed lead acid batteries in series. I will use 6S instead of the 10S. So you can either run one 6S Lipo or you can do 2 3S Lipos in series to create 6S. Now I generally use Dean's connectors. This is my series connector and it does have Dean's connectors on them. These ones, I believe they're like an XT90. So just since I use Dean's, I'm gonna snip these off. I have a soldering station. I'm gonna show you guys in the video how I put Dean's connectors onto the speed control for the Razor and then how I run these in the system to power the Razor scooters. Now, with lithium batteries, you can't run them down below around 3 to 3.3 volts per cell. Otherwise, the batteries can become damaged, they can puff up, they can even ignite. So these can be very dangerous. It's very important that you go on the internet, find a reputable site on batteries, on lithium batteries, how to care for them, how much you can drain them, how to store them, how to charge them. I also have a special lithium battery charger that I use, usually around $50 on Amazon.com, these lithium chargers, and you can charge your batteries with those, but not with the stock Razor battery chargers. Those are going to be for the 12 volt sealed lead acid batteries that Razors come with. So you don't drain these below the 3 to 3.3 volts per cell. You will want to buy some low voltage detectors. That's what these are. So these connect to the balance plug. You can see they beep there. So this will monitor all of the cells inside of the battery. And if one of the cells gets to your preset, which I usually preset these low voltage detectors to around 3 to 3.3 volts per cell, once one of those cells gets down to that, then this alarm will start beeping very loudly and let you know that the battery has been depleted all the way to the max that you want it to. You can stop using the scooter and put these on the charger to recharge them to full capacity. This is my soldering station that I use. It has everything I need to solder on connectors onto my batteries, speed controls, and whatever other projects I want to do. These are Dean's connectors, so I buy these big packs on Amazon. They have male, females, and shrink tubing. Runs around $10 for a pack of these. This is the soldering wire that I use. So this is a 60-40, and I have a couple rolls of those usually, around $8 each for a roll. Little pair of pliers. This is a lighter that I use to shrink the tubing, maybe $3 for that. Pair of wire snippers. You can also get wire strippers, a dedicated set, probably around like $8 to $10. Next up, this is my helping hand. So this is on Amazon. I think it's around $7 to $10 and really helpful for when you're soldering. Next up is a big pack of shrink tubing. So this is awesome, has a lot of different sizes, so definitely use that a lot. Next is going to be the low voltage alarms that I use. So these are on Amazon, usually around maybe $10 for 3 or 4 of them. And those are going to go onto the balance connectors on your battery, and they will set off an alarm and let you know if the batteries get too low. So that's going to be very critical to have those. So this is the speed control today, the 24-volt razor that we're going to be soldering on a Dean's connector to, so I can use Lipos like this one. Now this is actually a 2S, but I really use 6S Lipos. I just didn't have one on hand right at the moment, but just for example's sake. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at all these connectors. That is the motor connector. This one is the charger connector. Next up, these two are the throttle and brake connectors. And then the one we're going to be snipping off and soldering a connector to is the battery connector here. So we'll go ahead and start off with the battery connector. I'm just going to take my wire snippers and we are going to snip off the red wires and the black wire on it. And these snip off fairly easily, so don't be afraid, snip it right off. I usually just toss this connector into a junk box that I have in case I ever want to use it for a future project. This is the Dean's connector, so you can see I have the shrink tubing there. I use the wire snippers, and I've developed a little technique here to remove the sheathing. You can buy dedicated wire strippers that make this job a little easier. And then removing the red sheath here. And fairly easy to do. You can even do it with scissors if you don't have wire strippers. The smaller one can be a little more difficult. Now I'm going to take the 2 red wires that we snipped, I'm going to twist these together, and I'm going to bond them together with solder to make them essentially one wire. So I'm going to go ahead and use a pre-tinning technique here. The solder is going to soak into them and bind them together. It essentially welds them together. I make sure to pre-tin the connectors on my battery connectors. So my Deans here, I'll pre-tin those connectors where the wires are going to connect. Make sure to put down the shrink tube pieces down the wire before you start soldering. I forgot to do that many times. This is the positive side connector, it's vertical, and this is the negative side that is horizontal. So that's how you can remember on Deans. And then go ahead and we're going to solder the connectors on. Fairly simple, melt it on, hold it, cools off, it'll stick. After you're done with that, you can push up that shrink tubing and then use your lighter to shrink the tube on and cover those connections. So fairly simple. Once you do it a couple times and make sure to pre-tin everything, then you get used to it and you can do it faster and faster. But there's the final setup here. Each one has a, well, the speed control has that male, the battery has the female, Dean's connector. So you just want to double check before you plug them in that you did it right, that the red is going to plug into the red, the black into the black. Always double check that, and then that's how they plug in. So pretty easy peasy after you do a couple, get some practice. And this is me in a time lapse putting on female connectors onto my Lipo batteries. So this is just kind of a quick process so you can see how I'm soldering all that on and fast forward, and switching these over, because many times I'll find lipos online that are a little cheaper when they have the connector that I don't need, so I just snip them off and put a Dean's. So this is an example how we put 5S lipos in the quad. This one has the hatch from underneath. We flip it up. And then this is that hatch that we open. There's that series connector in there. 2 5S lipos. Again, on the balance plugs, we make sure that we have voltage readers so they can tell us if the batteries get too low. And simply just plug them in. And that's it. Then we can take off. Simple as that. One like this scooter is going to be a little different. So we pop the seat up. I'm going to run a 6S and a 4S lipo. Both of them are 6,000 milliamp hours. And of course, we're going to make sure to put our low voltage alarms on there, on the balance plugs. Plug those guys in. And Faye's ready to rock.